The following opinions are solely those of BoatTEST.com and its test captain.
Hi, Captain Steve for BoatTEST.com, and what are we doing at an outboard shop smack in the middle of a New England winter? Well, as it turns out, winter's a great time to get your boat repowered. We're going to take a look at a boat whose owner is doing exactly that on a 2007 EdgeWater 318cc. He's removing a pair of 250 horsepower Yamaha 4-strokes and putting on a pair of 300 horsepower Evinrude E-TEC G2s. We're going to see what it takes, how much it costs, and measure the results. But first things first, we need to get it on the water and do a performance evaluation so that we have a baseline to measure those results by.
We had to do a little ice breaking to get out of the harbor, but once out, we were in the clear and ready to run. The 2007 EdgeWater had an empty weight of 6,500 pounds. With about 50 gallons of fuel, 3 people, and test power, we estimated our test weight at 8,529 pounds. With the twin 250 Yamaha spooled up to 6,000 RPM, we reached our top speed of 45.9 miles per hour. Best cruise came in at 4,000 RPM and 27.2 miles per hour. At that speed, the 38.5 gallon per hour fuel burn translated into 0.7 miles per gallon and a range of 190 miles. It's pretty easy to see why this owner was considering a repower. This should be a boat that gets well into 50s for speed, and she should cruise at a much higher speed. She also had lackluster acceleration. We reached planing speed in 5.6 seconds, accelerated to 20 in 8.1, and didn't hit 30 until 12.2 seconds. And it's hard not to notice the sluggish maneuverability. She takes forever to turn, the steering is stiff, and the props ventilate in all but the gentlest turns. And when coming back into the dock, the ice had started to form again, but not so much that we couldn't make a trail through.
So now that we've got our original numbers, let's get into the shop and swap out those engines.
Once in the shop, it's time to go to work, and everything from the motors to the panel is getting taken care of. The boat gets some cursory protection, and the new engines are unboxed and prepped. First to go are these old controllers and cables, especially the cables. The new engines are fly-by-wire. Then the old gauges can go to heaven. Bring in some mechanical muscle, hook on the old engines, drain the fluids, unbolt them from the transom, and they're gone. This mess in the engine well can go too. The new E-TEC G2s have integrated hydraulic steering. Pull the old brackets since the new engines mount right to the transom on integrated brackets. And now it's a good time to take care of some cosmetics. Meanwhile, it's time to attack the panel. In addition to losing the controls and gauges, we're repurposing one beverage holder for the iDock joystick. It's a simple plug-and-play device, but the square peg won't fit in that round hole, so a template is lined up and trimmed. A backing plate is fabricated, smoothed, and then secured into position. Naturally, they have to do the same thing with the digital controls, which are also plug and play. We're not going to be placing the same sort of gauges into this panel, so a new panel will be fabricated for this sub-panel below the main display screens. Then it gets cut and trimmed. And our new 4.3-inch Icon touchscreen gets unpacked. With this, we can monitor both engines' fuel tanks, water tanks, and batteries, and also use it to access intelligent features like iTrim automatic trimming, adjust the assist level of power steering, and even winterize the engines at the touch of a button. And then it gets fitted into place. Back at the transom, backing plates are fastened to bolts and adhesive sealant is added before inserting into the transom. More goop is added. Then we get ready to put some new jewelry on our girl. And tighten the bolts. And repeat. Once installed, we can move to the rigging. There are no more cables, everything is digital and NEMA 2000 compliant. So it's just a matter of wire runs from the engines to the helm. Connecting the batteries to the engines will, of course, take larger gauge wiring, but it all runs through the same conduits for a clean installation. And when we say E-TEC G2s are plug and play, it's not a joke. The only manual connections are the fuel line and the 2 battery connections. Everything else gets networked. And finally, the steering is integral but still requires a hydraulic connection. Now, with the new 300 E-TEC G2s into place, it was time to put them to the test and see how they perform. Naturally, we're not going to have an apples-to-apples comparison. I mean, we went from old 250s to new 300s, but this is about determining whether this sort of repower is right for you. So with that said, we made our way back out, this time in warmer weather. With the twin Evinrude E-TEC G2s turning 22 Rebel propellers, we reached our top speed of 52 miles per hour at 5750 RPM, an increase of 13%. So far so good. But here's where it gets interesting. Fuel consumption actually dropped for the higher speed on these new engines, from 69.5 gallons per hour to 49.9, a savings of 19.6 gallons per hour or 28%. Now, multiply that 19.6 times the number of hours you use your boat on cruising, then multiply that times what, $5 a gallon nowadays, and you get an interesting dollar figure. But we don't always run at full throttle. In fact, we rarely do. So, best cruise for the Yamaha 250s came in at 27.2 miles per hour, while the E-TECs were at 38.6, nearly 42% faster at best economy. And the fuel burn dropped way down, from 38.5 gallons per hour to 27.6, a 28.3% savings per hour. That allowed the EdgeWater to nearly double the range, from 190 miles to 377, with the same 300-gallon tank. Now do the math and the savings really add up, especially for someone who uses this boat a lot, like this owner. And of course there are the better acceleration numbers. Now these are inarguably some impressive numbers, and if range and economy were the goal, then this repower would be a no-brainer. But we have to balance the cost of the conversion against the savings of fuel. For this job, the owner paid $49,900 all in. Is he going to save that much in fuel? Well, he'd have to run about 10,000 hours, so it's not all about the savings. While that's a big motivator, it's also about rejuvenating a boat that you love, that fits like a comfortable pair of jeans. This owner also got an updated panel, new digital controls with a bunch of new features, and with her new integrated steering system she handles better, is much more responsive, and turns show no ventilation. And then there's iDock, allowing for joystick maneuvering at the dock. It works excellent, allows for precision directional control, and really takes a lot of the work out of docking, especially in challenging conditions. It's an easy system to use. Just push the power button on the joystick to activate it. So that's my full look at the benefits of repowering your boat with new Evinrude E-TEC G2 engines. For BoatTEST.com, I'm Captain Steve. We'll see you on the water.